Good morning. This is Pigsy doing another video. I was thinking earlier today, and I guess for the last few days, about the holographic universe. I wonder if there's been any progression since I last looked it up. But anyway, I'm always interested by things. Hollow Earth, I've been quite interested. I did come across something that was going on about they tried to calculate if there was hollow or not, and basically their mathematics was based on if the mass density was the same, like it was the same material in a part of their mathematical model density, but the Earth varies in size in density anyway. So if you come up with an equal reading, you think, well, that can't be true because we've got this reading. It doesn't include very changes in density, so you may find out that it does have a big pockets of air and so on. And also, I sort of base the universe on our body as well. The kind of mechanics of that, of objects, tend to have hollow spaces, whether they're filled with energy or whatever, different types of energy. But there's a lot of things, like the human body. You might think, well, I'm solid. Actually, when you're opened up or cut in half, you're pretty much honeycombed to a certain degree. So that's why I've always had that kind of thing in my head. It also just feels right, kind of like some feeling about it. I also understand that the reality falls into this kind of matrix, electrical, holographic universe, and everything is energy, really. Energy and frequency, and I guess the frequency comes as a consciousness. If everything has a conscious programming behind it, and this comes into a more the other side of it, and it's very much like the Matrix, is that we're in some giant simulation, but there's simulators within simulators, and there's parallel simulators. So, for instance, things going on in my body, I've no full awareness of them, but they're there. I mean, at some level, they impact on this kind of simulation. But if I was the size of a cell, or if I was bacteria or something else, how I perceive that environment would be totally different. Would it just be all random, or is there some kind of organisation to it? And then also, what are viruses? So look at this CV19, let's call it. And if it's been spliced with something else by accident, through or by forms of engineering, social engineering, biological engineering, it's because there's some things about it, or things that have been reported about it, suggest that it's unstable, and possibly it's trying to realign its programming, its code. Something's been mashed up with something else. It wants to go back to what it was. I guess example, some people born with birth defects, their offspring aren't going to have them defects because they've rewritten out that part of the program, so it's been corrected when they get constructed. So it's what's unusual is that we are like programs in this matrix. We're doing things on the outside. People just see you wandering around and stuff, and actions and functions, but they don't necessarily see all the internal stuff going on. That requires your kind of soul connection there, and so you become this inner simulations, and you run your own little simulations on your dreams, and whether these dreams are just they exist for eternity inside you, or whether they're a temporary thing. Some things are. I think things that are reoccurring dreams may actually be some type of stable form. So in the back of your psyche they exist, or they exist in you at some other level, and how complicated it might be. So you might be this consciousness pilot in these different simulations, operating these different programs. You might be in several different places at the same time. You might be doing several different functions. I think the rules are you can't be fully conscious of the matrix in that sense. But as you do, maybe it's either going to accelerate your development. This is why people, when they get spiritual, open awareness, they become somewhat different. because then they start pulling upon all the other information that's inside them, what makes them who they are. You know, this I guess it's the higher self they sometimes talk of it, but it's not really. It's just this multi-layered, poly-dimensional version of yourself. It sort of becomes aligned, and so is influenced. So yeah, again, another one of these simulation things. Once they align, they kind of become more there, or the hologram becomes more denser through data, because the data says the same stuff, and when the data doesn't match, you reject it and you delete it. So it's a very different way of the world, really. And there's something else as well. There's that the creator, or whatever the creative force might be in your universe, is basically leaves its mark in there, and in the same way that we have a mark left in the creative, I guess. There's always a connection between us and whatever it might be. And we might refer to ourselves as a kind of the higher version of ourselves, or something else, or maybe at some point you lose your individuality and just become something a collective, like a Borg type consciousness. That's probably the fear of death. The afterlife is basically this kind of data harvesting, data mining. You just sort of turn over everything to yourself, and you're kind of unlocked. And you sort of no longer exist, I guess. Or you're reproduced into something else, because you were just the program. You weren't the simulation itself. I think the other thing I was thinking about the Matrix, I think they're doing a reboot on it. Maybe Neo could be in his inner simulation, so combating through his mind, in his body, and then they have to extract him out and put him in a new body to exist again. That's how this Matrix is going to work. Or maybe that they realise the Matrix is in another Matrix. It becomes vastly more complicated, and to be honest, if you watch a film and reality is far out, you might just reject it on the basis it's just too mind-blowing. And maybe that's why we live in a contained level of consciousness. Like you can only be 5% of what you potentially are. Yeah. Right, well, have a great day. There you go. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.